Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to a podcast episode. If you are a regular viewer, you will have noticed I didn't do a podcast episode while I was away. I decided to record one before I left, and then I'd recorded a bunch of other videos. So I put out some of those while I was away, so I didn't have to record a podcast in Italy because I didn't know what the setup was going to be. Plus, the main project I worked on was actually a deadline project, which is for a magazine, so I can't share that anyway. So, but I did film loads of other stuff from my days out. We did Pompeii, Herculaneum, Naples, Sorrento, a boat trip along the Amalfi coast, Amalfi, and one of the local seaside towns. So we went to the beach quite a lot. So we did quite a lot while we were there. So I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. I'm also going to share some other stuff I finished. I didn't just work on my deadline sweater while I was away. But I did work on another project which I managed to finish, and I started on a new project. So I'll talk about that as well, and also see what else is on my needles and what I need to finish in the next 2 weeks, because I only have 2 weeks at home before I go to Norway again for 2 weeks. So I don't have a lot of time. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. So my online shop is open again. It'll be open for 2 weeks and then it'll close again. I'm going to Norway on the 29th, so it'll close probably like 8 o'clock in the morning on the 28th, so I can pack up any last orders and post them before I leave. I do still have a few kits, I think. I haven't double checked. I think there are a few Luxe Charlotte kits left. So it comes with a ball of Lang Mohair 21, which is the best quality mohair yarn you can get in the hand knitting industry. It's usually only used in like high fashion, so it's amazing. Really, it's the softest mohair I've ever tried, and I've knitted with quite a few different mohairs now. And then it also has so one ball of the mohair 21 and 3 balls of the Lang pellets. Trying to remember what it was called there. I actually have a bag of Lang pellets sitting in front of me right now, but I can't share it with you because I'm about to cast them for a design for a magazine using Lang pellets. I'm really excited about it. Probably not going to cast them until I get back from Norway because I got something else I need to knit first. So there are still a few of these Luxe kits on my website, and there are also, and they include the pattern by the way, and they're also, you can, if you just want the pattern, you can get that from our Ravelry and Payhip shops. Everything is linked below. So the videos I released while I was away is a video on the knitting magazine 269. I'll pop a picture of the design here because I don't think I've got the magazine here. I think it's downstairs. But I did a separate video on that. I'll link these videos below this video, and they're also the last few videos on my channel. And then I did a video on the Chaugu quad needle tips. So they are the square needle tips that Chaugu released not that long ago. I got a pair when I was over in Bravo from Pearlessence, which are my go-to Chaugu suppliers, and I finally got to try them just before I went away, and I did a review on those. And then on Tuesday there was a video out on the Knitting magazine issue 228, which I think was here. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Which is here. So that's my design on the cover. I thought it was out last week, but I think it's actually out yesterday, or day I'm filming this. So I may have released my video a little bit early, but I thought it was out already. I'm not sure. It doesn't say a date on it. That's issue 228. That's my design on the cover. Beautiful issue. It's got loads of nice designs in it. It's got a feature interview with Lydia from Game of Wool, and talking about her yarn company, her indie yarn company, hand dyeing company that she runs with her sister. So that's really interesting to read. And then let me just find my design so I can show you some more pictures. So that is my design for this issue. It's a shawl. It's a crescent shawl. It's actually if you're into shawl construction, it actually combines the pie formula, half pie formula I should say, with a crescent shape. So it's a very deep semicircular crescent shape. which means that it kind of covers your whole back, and there's loads of different ways you can wear it, and I go through some of those in that video that was out on Tuesday, so do go and check that out as well. I'll link it below. And I am teaching at Black Sheep Wools when I come back from Norway. I'm teaching there in June and July. I haven't checked since I got home what workshops are fully booked and which ones are still available, but before I left on holiday, my filet crochet one, where we're going to do a filet scarf, you get to choose between these two, we'll come back to this one in a minute, filet crochet. There were some spaces left before I went on holiday, but I haven't checked today to see if there are still spaces available. I'm doing Orenburg lace knitting as well, and there were some spaces left on that before I went away. And then I'm also doing top-down raglan and brioche knitting, but they were full, so I think they're still full. Occasionally people may need to cancel last minute, so it's worth to check it out. I don't know if they do a waiting list or not, but you can always contact them and ask. So June and July, I'll be back at Black Sheep Wools. This week, on Friday, I'm actually teaching at the Knitting Hotel. We're teaching beaded knitting. So I've been busy getting ready for that for the last 2 days. So we came back from holiday on Monday. It was a very long travel day. I'll talk a little bit about our holiday and my general impressions of Italy before I get onto my knitting. So if you don't want to hear about this, just skip forward. But on the way out there, everything went smoothly. Flight was on time. We flew with EasyJet from Bristol, because that's our nearest big airport. Coming home, our flight was about 10:45, so boarding would usually be about 10s. And the problem we have here in the UK since Brexit is that border checks for anyone travelling on a British passport takes so much longer because of some new European Union rules, which the Britain was part of deciding when they were in the EU, and agreed that anyone who were not in the EU should follow them. So kind of partially our own fault, really. Obviously, I'm travelling on a Norwegian passport, my husband's not. So we got to the airport quite nice and early because we were worried about the queues, because we knew there were quite a few, around the 3 or 4 flights for the UK around the same time as ours, plus 2 American flights, United Airlines, I think, and Delta. And I assumed they would be quite big planes, so loads of people. So we got there quite early. We just walked straight to passport control, went through passport control. The area at Naples Airport after passport control is tiny, and they started boarding our flight. I always leave it really late because I just had a basic ticket, so I always leave it really late, and I also book an aisle seat, so I like to board last. They got halfway through boarding and then they stopped, and we waited for a bit, and then they came and told us that there was a technical problem. And then eventually they told us the plane couldn't fly us to the UK, and that EasyJet were actually sending a new plane from London to come and get us. There were also air traffic control strikes apparently in Naples and Rome, but we didn't notice any of that really, although there were loads of cancellations for European flights that day. And also Italian EasyJet crew were striking, so loads of EasyJet Europe flights were cancelled, but no EasyJet. I guess EasyJet is UK and EasyJet Europe is the rest of Europe. I don't know, but all the cancelled flights for EasyJet Europe, not EasyJet, so we were fine. So they're going to send a plane from London to get us. That eventually, so instead of taking off at 10:45, we left just after 4 and landed about 6. We should have been landing about 12:15, 12:30, something like that. We landed at 6. We were about 5.5 hours, 6 hours delayed, which just means we should get compensation, so that's good. Absolutely loved Italy. I've been to Italy several times before. I went once or twice as a child. I got a feeling we went twice to the same area, but I can't remember. Definitely once as a child to northern Italy, up in the mountains, the Dolomites plus Venice. And then I went for our 10th wedding anniversary, which is 25 years ago, later this year. We drove from Cornwall to Tuscany and spent 5 days, I think it was, 5 or 6 days, near Florence, and we went to loads of towns in Tuscany. We also did a day trip on the train to Rome. So we've been in northern Italy and we've driven in northern Italy, and then 10 years ago we went on a cruise from Venice. It started and finished in Venice. My parents treated the whole family to a cruise for their birthdays, and afterwards we had a few days in Venice, but we didn't hire a car for that. So we've driven in Italy when we went to Tuscany, but that's 25 years ago. So I don't know whether there's a massive difference between how people drive in northern Italy versus southern Italy, or whether this is just a Naples area thing. We stayed near Pompeii in a town called Scafati, the whole area around Naples, from Naples to area we were in near Pompeii and Castellammare di Stabia. That whole area is just one huge built-up urban area. You go from town to town, you don't really know which town you're in, and you can't tell where one town ends and the next one starts. It's just one massive built-up area. Driving is absolutely crazy, completely crazy. Simon was driving. We hired a Fiat Panda, which I was really relieved that we hired a tiny car, and we were very relieved that we managed to return it to the rent-a-car place at Naples Airport unharmed and damaged, because the excess on the insurance for the hire car was quite high. And Simon did all the driving because we didn't want to pay to add me as a second driver. I did all the navigating and keeping an eye out for traffic. Basically, I assume they have a highway code in Italy, that they have some kind of rule book about how you drive. I don't know what people, I feel sorry for people learning to drive in that area, because they must learn to drive and then we're told right now ignore all of that and just drive like all the locals do. People don't stop at stop signs or give way signs. They don't stop at roundabouts in the UK and Norway and Spain and everywhere else I've driven. If you're in a roundabout, people on the roundabout have priority. People just pulled on, people pulled out of junctions, people didn't even look, so we had people pulling out in front of us at a junction without even looking. Pedestrians just walk out in front of you. People don't stop for pedestrian crossings, but they will randomly stop for you if you're waiting to cross somewhere else, so that was nice. And loads of like mopeds, Vespas, light motorbikes everywhere. They overtake you on both sides at the same time. So you're driving down through these town streets and suddenly you get overtaken by multiple light motorbikes on both sides at the same time. Cars overtake you in like city and town streets where it's quite narrow, and you follow it going above the speed limit, and cars still overtake you with cars coming towards you. And also in the UK, we have a lot of signs where it's like 20 or 30 miles per hour, where if you're going a bit too fast, it'll like flash up the speed you're going. And if you're going a little bit too fast, it'll flash up in red. If you're a tiny bit over, it'll flash up in orange. And if you're doing the right speed, it'll flash up in green. Well, we went through several where it was 30 kilometers. And we might be doing like 39, and it still said, grazie, like, well done for doing the speed limit. And like, we're nearly 10 kilometers over. Yeah, nobody followed the speed limit. If you stop for a pedestrian or if you're doing the speed limit, people would hoot you because you weren't going fast enough. So yeah, totally crazy. But we absolutely loved it. I have decided that I'm going to do 2 separate videos. I filmed one already, but I haven't edited it. So I'm going to do one video, which will hopefully be out this Sunday if I can get my act together and edit it today, because I'm teaching tomorrow. And that'll be about Pompeii, Herculaneum, and Naples. We didn't spend a lot of time in Naples. Naples is not my favorite place on this trip. We went to Pompeii, amazing. We went to Herculaneum, really, really good. Probably better than Pompeii, really, although tiny in comparison. And we went to the Archaeological Museum in Naples and then did the tour buses around Naples. So I'll talk about that in hopefully a video that'll be out on Sunday, if I can get myself organized. And then I'll do a separate video talking about the area we stayed in, day trip to Sorrento, and we took a boat trip from Salona to Amalfi, and that was absolutely amazing. That was a little bit, shan't we do this? We decided to do it, and it was really, really worth it. So I'll talk about that in a separate video as well. Right, if you're familiar with Italy and you're Italian, or you've been to southern Italy a lot, is the way people drive in the Naples area, is that the whole of southern Italy, or is it just the Naples area? Because if we go back to southern Italy again, I'm not hiring a car because it was crazy. Right, so let's talk about what I've been knitting. So the first thing I did was to finish Simon's hat, which is now done. So I wanted it to be able to fold up. So I'll show you this is my Cornwall pattern. And this is one I knitted last year or something, a couple of years ago, I can't remember. This is for like the sample, and it folds up like that. And then you can turn it inside out and fold it up like that. So the pattern, you can choose whether you make it long enough to fold it up, or you can just use I'd use one color or two colors and just have it like that. I'll pop a couple of pictures on the screen. I made one for myself, a pink one, which doesn't fold up, and I made one for Simon, the first one I did a couple of years, 3 years ago, which doesn't fold up either. But I want to make one that folded up for Simon because he wears his hat a lot. When I was in Norway in February, I bought some yarn. It's Strops Alpaca, and I got a grey colour, which is 506, and a purple, which is 4400. So that's the purple, and then that's the grey colour. So I'd hoped it would be long enough to actually fold it up, but it's not. This yarn only has 167 meters per 50 grams, so I should have looked at it a bit more carefully and realized that I should have chosen a yarn with slightly more meterage. But it does fit Simon. I'm slightly worried it was a little bit big on him. I don't know, but it does fit. I must have made the grey bit slightly longer than the purple bit. I didn't count the rows as I was knitting it, but I did go back and count the rows after I'd finished knitting it. So I think the grey section is slightly longer because it shows through a little bit on here, but I quite like that. So you can wear it this way out, but it's a little bit slouchy, but it's not long enough on Simon to really fold it up. It is on me, but it's not on Simon because he's got a bigger head than me, but it is on me. So, and then you can wear it the other way out as well. But he can, when he puts it on, it is just very slightly slouchy, but not as slouchy as it is on me. For me, it's slightly too big. This is the largest size, and I usually do the medium size for me. So I finished that. I was nearly finished with the purple bit when we left, so I finished the purple bit and then did the grey bit. I worked on this mostly on the beach. I don't think I worked on it on the way there at all. I worked on my deadline sweater, but I did work on it a lot on the beach and a couple other times when we were out and about, but mostly on the beach. I worked on that and managed to finish it a few days before we came home. So I'm very pleased that is done. One thing I didn't say about the driving, because I have a picture I want to show you, is that we hired an Airbnb, which was fine, which had private parking because we didn't want to worry about having to park the car. And what we didn't realize was that it only really fit a tiny car. So I was really pleased. Another reason I was really pleased we hired a Fiat Panda. So the parking space is behind the building. It's like a courtyard at the back. And it's a building that had several flats in it. I think some was owned by them and some were owned by other people, I guess, or rented. I don't know. But there was a gateway, very old gateway, but it was only just slightly wider than the car, so probably about that much clearing on each side of the car, and you had to fold your mirrors in, otherwise they would have scraped the wall. So I'm really glad we hired a small car because driving through there, it wasn't, you had to go through the gate and then there was like a tunnel through the building, which was right next to our flat. And the only problem with our flat was that the soundproofing between the two rooms we had a large bedroom and a lounge kitchen area. And the soundproofing between those two rooms was really good, but the soundproofing between both of those rooms and the outside was appalling. So if any of our neighbours got up quite early to go to work or get their car out or came home late, you could really hear it. It sounded like somebody was going to drive straight through your house. I was so glad we hired a small car. I'll pop a picture up so you can see, but it was a bit terrifying. Okay, let's get on to what else I was knitting. So I took some mini skeins with me. I took 3 with me. Where's my bag? There. So I took 3 mini skeins with me from my 2024 Cool Woolings advent calendar. Now, Cool Woolings is just, or she announced recently that she's closing her business. I think it's been a bit of a disaster recently, to be quite honest. So I know people, and I've read by people online who ordered her advent calendar last year for 2025 and who didn't receive it or didn't receive what they were sold. So I've seen people saying they did get one, but it wasn't as described. And I also know somebody who didn't get it. And also people had problems getting refunds. So I don't know what's gone on. I don't know her. I met her at a couple of shows, but I don't know her. I've barely spoken to her. But I did get her advent calendar in 2024. I ordered it quite late after Yarndale. So I ordered it early in October, I think, because I saw her still at Yarndale and I really liked her yarns. So I ordered it in 2024. I did a 12-day one, and then after Christmas, so beginning of last year, I ordered the other 12 days because I really like the colours. So I took 3 of those colours to make my little stars. So I made some before I went on holiday in a DK, the Discreet Unicorn yarn advent from 2024. Yeah, I think that's 2024 as well. And I was making some stars with that one, but because I could only do 3 stars of each colour and they're much thicker, to take up more space, I thought if I just take 3 of these skeins, so obviously a mini skein is fairly easy to cram into my suitcase. That's one of the other colours. I'm not going to show you all of them because they're in a box on the floor here. And out of one 20-gram mini skein, I can make 11 little star flowers. And I had about that much left of each. I don't know how much that is. I haven't weighed them yet. So I got 11 purple ones. So I was sitting on the beach making these. I also made some at the airport on the way home because we had so many hours. So I did a bit of knitting and a bit of this and a bit of scrolling and a bit of just being bored out of my mind and worrying about whether we were going to go home or not. So I made 11 of the darker purple ones, 11 of this lighter purpley pink one. I made them all, brought them home and then blocked them. So when we got home on Tuesday, I did block 22 of these. I don't know how I'm going to store them. So the DK ones I made, I've been putting into a box, or like a little plastic kitchen food storage box kind of thing. But it's not big enough. So I think I worked it out. I got 11 and I got 20, to 11 of each 20-gram skein. I got 24, 264 flowers is what I'm going to end up with. I'm hoping for the 4 black ones to make it into some kind of top, hopefully. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking some yarn and a needle and threading it through the hole in the middle on all of these, and then I can string them up on my wall while I'm making them. This is a long-term project. I don't know if I'm going to take this to Norway with me or not. I have another project I'd like to start, which I'll probably talk about next week. But I wound this yarn, so I'm going to try and work on that next. I also need to find somewhere I can keep the leftovers because I want to use those for sewing them all together. So that was what I worked on while we were there, and I really enjoyed working on those. So I'm going to try over the next couple of weeks, if I have any spare moments, to try and do as many of the DK ones that I started before we left. And then I may take some of these to Norway with me. It depends on what I decide to take for my main project when we go to Norway. So my main knitting over the next couple of weeks is some magazine stuff. I have 2 deadlines in June. I've got 2 deadlines that one of my sample knitters is working on in June and July. And then I got 2 deadlines for another magazine in June. And I'm doing both of those myself. So the deadline I was working on while we were away, I've either just got to cast off the neckline or do a couple of rounds. I was working on it last night, but I had to be watching something on telly and I had to get up and actually put on my dress form to see if I'm happy with the neckline before I cast it off. And I couldn't be bothered to do that because we were watching something on telly. So I just wove in all the ends to have something to do. And then this afternoon, probably at lunchtime, I'm going to put it on my dress form, see what it fits like, and decide, and either cast off, do a couple of more rounds, and then cast off, and then block it this afternoon so that it'll be dry by Saturday, and then I can finish the pattern on Monday and send it off. So I think the deadline is like early, middle of next week. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And then this morning on my break, I'm going to knit a swatch in another yarn for my next deadline, and that deadline isn't until a couple of weeks after I get back from Norway. Hang on, I got it on the wall here. Yeah, so it's towards the end of June. It's 2 weeks after I get back from Norway, and I have 2 weeks from now till I go to Norway, and I don't want to take any deadline knitting to Norway with me because it'll take up too much space because I will just have a backpack with me. So I need to try and get the first one done before I go, and that is a sweater in a slightly larger size, but it's a DK yarn. So and it's, I think it's in the round, and it's mostly stocking stitch with something else mixed in. So I'm going to knit a swatch this morning on my break, block it, try and write a pattern before lunch, so once I finish this other thing I'm working on, I can cast on this afternoon or evening, because I'm teaching all day tomorrow. So that means when I come back tomorrow, I can just pick up that and carry on knitting on it. And otherwise I won't get the pattern written till Monday. And I'd need to try and get that finished before I go to Norway. So I'll probably, I think, isn't it a top down, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm probably gonna time myself and see how much I can knit in an hour, and then work out how much I need to knit a day to finish it before I go to Norway. Like I said, deadline is not till June, but I need to get that finished. And then I also want to swatch and write a pattern for the other deadline, so that's ready to go as soon as I get back from Norway. If I can't start it before I go, I will, but otherwise I need to start that the day after I come back from Norway, because I haven't got a lot of time. So but I do have some other projects on needles as well. They've been on the needles for a while. These won't be worked on very much. I have my sock project. This is Truly Hooked. She did a Formula One collection last year. I think she's done it again this year. So this is Lando's helmet. So if you're into Formula One, you will know that that's the colour of Lando Norris's helmet. He was the world champion last year and one of my favourite Formula One drivers. So colour went a bit funny there. Sparkle socks, so merino, nylon and stellina, and colour Lando's helmet. I cast this on a while ago. I actually forgot about I'd cast it on, and I've done the toe, and that's it. I need to check if I actually finished the toe. I think I have. So this is probably going to come with me to Norway as my travel project. But I am thinking about trying to see if I can persuade Simon to go to the cinema this weekend or next weekend, because I really want to see The Devil Wears Prada 2. If it's still on the Norway when I go, I can go and watch it on my own. I don't mind that, but I don't know whether it'll be on for that long. So I put this in my travel pouch, and if we decide to go to the cinema, I'll take this with me. If we go out and about at all before I go to Norway on the weekends, I'll take this with me. But I don't think that I'll get a lot of action until we go to Norway, and then I'll take that with me as my out and about project, and probably like my travel day project and stuff like that. Right, I'm going to put for these little stars in this project bag. This isn't really a project bag, it's a toiletry bag that I got in Spain from a brand called Bimba Lola, but I just love the pink, and I thought I can use it as a project bag or as a handbag. It's got a pocket inside and outside and stuff like that, so it's very useful. So I'm going to put all my crochet stuff, so my crochet hook, and then I keep some scissors in here to cut the yarn with. These I got at Yarn on the Go at Oslo Airport last time I was home. They have now closed. It was only a pop-up shop, so they closed at the end of April. Hoping they come back at some point, but I don't know. And then I've also got this little pouch from one of the guests at the Knitting Hotel. She's lovely, and she actually sells these. And I can't remember what she's called her business, but I will link to their Instagram account. I think you have to like message her through Instagram. They're really useful. They come with a bunch of notions. They have a zip on it, so nothing falls out, and it comes with a variety of different things. And then I've added some things in there, like needles. It came with the darning sewing needle, wool needle. It was a bit too thick for this thin yarn, so I've added another sewing needle and some stitch markers and stuff. So I'm going to keep that in there so that that's easier to just grab and go. And then I got another bag here, and I can't remember what's in here. Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot about this. So I did talk about this before. I cast this on, what do you call it when it's a crochet project? I don't use a starting chain, so I can't say I chained this on. But I started this last time I went to Black Sheep Wools. It's actually a new version of this scarf. I'd hoped to release this scarf before I go to Norway. It's got a diamond pattern, but I chose a very dark yarn to make it in because I really like this colour. It's Nipro Symphony Viva, I think it's called. The same yarn I used for this one, but I went for this darker colour because I really liked it. But you can see it's very difficult to see the pattern. So I've written up the pattern. It's been edited, and I used it for my workshop at Black Sheep Wools last month. But I wanted to make a lighter version, so I thought about using another colour of Viva DK, but I have a lot of Spectrum Fibre, her Merino DK because I did her yarn club, not last year. Last year or 2024, I think it might have been 2024, it might have been last year, I can't remember, but I did 6 months and then I didn't use any of it, so I cancelled it after 6 months. But I have 6 beautiful skeins of her yarn, so I chose one of the ones I liked, and this is obviously much lighter, so you can see it better. It'll look a bit better once I've blocked it. So I've done one motif. It has, I think it's 6 motifs joined together. I can do one of these, I think, in like 45 minutes. I'd like to finish this before I go to Norway, because I'd like to release the pattern, really. I would have liked to release the pattern next week or the week after, but I don't know. But what I think I'm going to do is, I don't think I'm going to take it with me to Norway. I do need to finish it for my next workshop at Black Sheep Balls. I think I'm teaching the female one again in June. I'm going there on the 18th, 19th and 20th. I'm teaching 19th and 20th. So I want to finish it before then, definitely. I'd like to finish it before I go to Norway, but also I have this deadline project I have to prioritise. So I may take that with me when I go out and about, if we're going out for the day or something this weekend or next weekend. Don't think I'll take it to Norway with me, because it wouldn't take me very long to finish it. But what I'm going to do in the next 2 weeks is work out how much I need to knit a day to get this sweater finished, and make sure I do that. After Friday, the day this video comes out, I don't have any workshops before I go to Norway, so I can take quite a lot of time to knit. So I'm going to try and set aside enough time every day to knit what I need to knit on my deadline sweater, and then if I have any time left over in the evening, I can work on something else. So I might try and get this finished first, and then that's it. Is that all I brought up with me? Yes, it is. That's all I brought up with me. I do also have my Cyberball sweater. I knitted one year before, 2 years ago. I must get it out again, because it's in cotton, so it'd be really perfect to wear. Well, it was warm before we went to Italy. I think it was quite warm while we were away. Now it's really cold. Like the last couple of days, it's been 10 to 12 degrees during the days. It's not warm. I'm backing long sleeve sweaters. I was wearing t-shirt Tuesday and yesterday, but today I've admitted that it's cold. I put a long sleeve top on. The Cyberball cotton sweater I made, I decided to do it in the regular Cyberball, and my goal is to write up the pattern and publish it sometime this autumn. I did a regular Cyberball because there's a lot more choice in those colours. I have 1.5 sleeve, I think, left to do. I haven't worked on it for ages. I talked about it at some point in April. I think for the time being, because of all my deadlines and everything else I've got to do, I'm just going to put it on hold for now, and then try and pick it up again in like August or September and finish it for the autumn. I think that's my plan. It's sitting next to my chair downstairs, and I think it'll just sit there. I might move it upstairs actually, so it's out of the way. But I think it'll just sit there till I come back from Norway and I finish that next deadline, and then we'll see. I'll get around to it at some point over the summer, but I'm not prioritizing it at the moment because of everything else. Don't forget to check out the videos I posted over the last 3 weeks if you haven't already. Knitting Magazine, The Knitter, it's in the shops now, plus my Chogu quad review videos on my YouTube channel. I'll be back with hopefully an Italy video on Sunday and something else next Tuesday. I can't remember what. It's all scheduled, ready to go. And then I'll be back with another podcast next Thursday. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.